All right, so today's video, we're going to be watching me play some Orisa, talking about what I did. We're playing one of the highest rated stadium builds for Orisa, very tanky one. So going to walk through what I did and go from there. Tell me what you think about this too. I'm always curious. And basically I have Restorify, which is while Fortify is active, you heal for 5% of your max life every 1 second. And then I was told to get Compensator, Field Rations, and Plasma Converter, kind of just to go with some green items. But so first of all, I will say when I was playing this, after I did a few Orisa games, I will admit Orisa was a lot more fun in Stadium than I expected. It's probably my least played hero in Stadium, and definitely plays a lot different than kind of that 5v5 like core at times, where it's a little bit more cooldown heavy. So it looks in this situation here, I'm just going to isolate the Rein. If the Rein's going to charge in and be aggressive, and we've actually played against a few of those Reins. Now, right there, just want to pause very quickly. That was not a good play by me. So what I'm supposed to do after I get the Rein is kind of back away and wait to go in, wait on cooldowns. I kind of attest this to, you know, sometimes you get into the first round, especially in Stadium, and you just play a little bit more aggro, or you kind of scale in this like very interesting way. Like, you ever play a game of Stadium where you scale really well, you go to the next game, and then you're like, and you try playing that exact same way? Sometimes I have that adjustment, so I ended up getting res there, which ends up being a good res, and then able to finish off kind of the rest of these limbs. But I think that would have, I wouldn't even need to be res there if I don't just push in aggressively. But remember, a lot of this build is about just timing my fortifiers correctly so I can be super tanky. And against Reinhardt, it can be a little bit more difficult. A lot of this is just spam. I don't need to be too aggro right now. You're going to find that I play a kind of like an in-between aggressive and like slower style Orisa. Like, I'm not like going to be too aggro in there until I scale late game. You'll see a little bit of peeling like that. The reason why I'm peeling there, just to point out, is that when you play against these Rein builds, and again, I've played against this Rein a lot. I've played against a lot of Reins that run like this very aggressive like charge build where they get, I think this Rein, if I'm correct, has the shield. Yeah, to me, friends with the barrier's active, you know, you heal your teammates, etc. So what I do sometimes when I'm playing against Reins that play this way is I try to peel a little bit more. So in that situation, I go for the Genji. That's why I went that. Yep, get slapped. But the idea here is just to be aggro on their backline. I think a lot of things that will happen against Rein in Stadium is a lot of people will get really distracted by the Rein just standing there with a shield. And I've learned that I need to just go for backline pressure a lot more, unless we're in situations like this where it's like a, you know, 4v5 or 5v4 in our favor, that is. Now, I remember in this moment, I'm like, yeah, there's a Rein up there. Also, I wouldn't recommend going into the room. Everybody goes in the room, and I go, yep, because that's what the Rein wants. The Rein wants you to go into that room, where you can get a little bit more time. You can set up and get more map control, things like that. It is Stadium first round, though, so it's a little bit more chill. So you're probably wondering what that Orisa ult was, and I'll explain this one. There's actually a lot of depth to this one. Yeah, I have no clue. I just wanted to hit a button, I think. While my teammates ran into the room, one of the things that I should have done is probably just ran to their, like, not their spawn, but took away some of the angles, and I think that would have been the best play by me there. So, a little bit of a misplay. Now, do you see how in this situation, what I end up doing is I end up going for like the rest of the team and not the Rein behind me? This is why. I can't get to that Rein. If I spend so much time peeling for the Rein, I need to recognize, and this is kind of how Overwatch 2 is with tanking at times, is even though you want to be able to like help your teammates with the tank, sometimes you need to do the exact same thing their tank is doing. If their tank's aggressive on your backline, that means their backline is now also susceptible to be able to get rolled. So I just go in there and go for their backline, and we trade out, and trades in this situation go in our favor, or at least kind of like are like a neutral part of the team fight. They're able to get aggressive, and there you go. So that's kind of how the first round goes. Now, of course, we'll continue to look at how we scale and how it gets better, but that was kind of my decision making throughout the round there, and kind of how I went about that. So going into the second round here, so I get something called Charge Chasis. I think it's Chasis, but if it's not, or Chassis. But basically what this does is Fortify grants additional overhealth equal to 10% of your max life. So equal to 10% of max life. What is it, 725 right now? So you get about, what, 72 HP or so when you hit that, so it's a good extra item there. Electrolytes, which recovers from being overheated. This one I think is just a filler item. I don't think this was a recommended part of the build. Elite Rotator Cuff, 10% ability power, 35% Javelin Spin duration. And then, yeah, the two major items I was told to get was Solar Regenerate, where after using an ability, you restore armor equal to 3% of your life. And then I filled those with the charged one. No, not the charged one, the electrolytes and the elite rotating cuff, because I had enough stadium cash because we had a good stadium cash round. So a lot of what you can tell here is that the build is based off of your fortify. And there's going to be times, I think, where I heck up a little bit on that, where I actually think in Stadium, you can probably get away with using your Fortify a little bit earlier at times, in comparison to where, like, in Core 5v5 as Orisa, you want to really time your cooldowns as Orisa, otherwise that's how you fall over. It's one of the reasons why Orisa is so strong, but also struggles so much sometimes, depending on the rank. Now, this play, I'm just kind of like thinking I can't get to their backline in that situation, so why not kind of pressure the Rein a little bit and see if I can force him into like a bad like charge or cooldown. Unfortunately, the Rein does get a kill there. I think this is where, again, I want to point out why that was not the best play by me, is like I'm getting distracted by the Rein. The Rein wants to pull pressure away from me. If I don't go and try to counter somebody else, this is what's going to happen. It's a 3v5. Now, say I go into the backline, kill the Mercy, and then get a kill on the Cassidy. Now it's a 3v3. I have that Fortify cooldown. And I need to remember that sometimes in these situations, is that when I have Fortify that's meant to heal me and keep me alive a lot of the time, I can go for a trade, not really have to use my cooldowns, and then be able to survive in like this 3v3 on point. Instead, I go for the Rein, and I think we end up losing that team by because of that. So, just showing, like, I want to point out where, like, plays I could have made better, too. Because obviously, like, you know, I always talk about how when I do spectate, and it's not that you don't see those mistakes happen in high-level play or etc. It just happens less, right? You're still going to make plays that, you know, wouldn't be as ideal. It's just kind of trying to learn and change that play style as quick as possible. So right there, like, in my mind, I need to go for the backline pressure. But we'll see how it goes. Obviously, some maps you can just get an unlucky start, too. That was obviously just good plays. And you can see I made the adjustment right away. And I think I recognized that, too, when I was playing. The reason why I'm peeling back for Rein now is because Rein's out of position, and I already did enough job at main. So, right, so, like, just to pause very quickly, the difference there between the previous one, like, play and that play is that I made backline pressure, forced cooldowns out, forced them to back up, and then the Rein, who had charged in, is now behind me, which means the Rein probably has shield up. I can Javelin, go back, and get a free kill there, right? Especially because I went for those backline kills. So that's the difference in why I make that decision. Mercy might go for the res behind me, but I can't really think about that right now. I need to think about keeping the map control for my team. Could ult this if I need to. And I don't remember, I'll be honest with you. Yep. And that's why I'm doing that play I'm doing now. You see how, like, I didn't really bother with what was going on behind me there. I just went in, and my team went with me. Now, of course, it depends how your teammates react to it, too, but pop my ultimate to get the kill onto the Mercy. And then we do end up, I think, taking a bit of the team fight. I don't remember if I win this. I really don't remember this game too much at all, so it's kind of cool in real time to see. Actually, I kind of remember the game. I remember some of the decisions I made. I just don't remember, like, moments like that, you know? Yeah, I think I got indecisive there. Sometimes on Orisa especially, if I get indecisive, you can tell. I'll start to spam cooldowns. Orisa's cooldowns are very important. The more you spam them like that randomly, the more likely you're going to fall over. Some heroes you can get away with that a little bit more. Orisa's not one of them. But looks like we just end up not having enough here. I'm doing a good job of going back for backline pressure. That part's fine. This is, again, yep. And there's the indecisiveness. In that situation, I can't let the Rein distract me. That 1 second of the Rein distracting me allows for Mercy to get the res off. I think this can be a completely different game if I don't let that res get off. Because then I can use my cooldowns better. So, bit of a misstep there by me kind of throughout the whole round, and I chalked it up to just a little bit of indecisiveness. Next up, we get Hooves of Steel, which after Fortify ends, you gain shields equal to 50% of the damage received during Fortify, and resets when you use your next Fortify. So what's really cool about this is that if you time your Fortifies correctly, you are going to literally have so much HP after, like, they do a bunch of damage to you that you'll be, like, surprised. So next up, I get Martian Mender. This was a part of the recommended build path. Reason why you get Martian Mender, 3% of your life every 1 second. The trend here, you're a tank. You're just getting tanky. You're going to be hard to kill. And my experience in the few times, and I kept everything else that I had prior, in my experience with this build, I was very tanky. There was no doubt about that. Now, there's a game on Orisa, and I don't know if it's this one or a different one. I go to the point, and I do what I talk about, where I say, I try to, like, time my Fortify a little bit too much, and that's where I made the decision eventually of, like, okay, I need to Fortify more. Now, based off of how I play this, I'll know exactly what part of the game this is. It's either the game where I go, okay, I need to hit Fortify more, or it's the game where I learn from the previous game, and then I hit my Fortify more. We'll find out. This might be a different one. No, okay. This is the one that, okay. This is actually where I Okay, this isn't the game. There's another one on the exact same map where I walk to the point and just fall over immediately. This one is where I talked through, okay, I can't sit there and be distracted by the Ryan. I need to go backline. Then I go backline and my whole team falls over. And I'm like, what? That's what happened there. But as you can see, the backline pressure was enough for our team to be able to survive on point. And this is the difference. You notice the difference where I'm not giving up map control, where I can control the map? Even if we lose this, you can see where that value comes from, right? That's why I'm just trading backlines. I'm like, okay, I can't sit here and just let, you know, their team get all this map control. Let me at least try to prevent that. And look at that. They killed multiple on my team, but it took them a while to get me. Obviously, I could have secured the kill there, and that might have been even a different story, but the point being is, you see the difference between when I'm trading backlines there and not just sitting on the Rhine the whole time? Again, you're going to have moments where you need to kind of stand in front of them like that, but yeah. Also, if you didn't notice, my HP has all the HP prior from the Fortify like power, so it's really nice to kind of have everything going there too. But that's why I made those decisions. I'm still doing the same thing. I'm going for their backline. Their Ryan's distracting them, you know, over there, so I go for an aggressive backline play. Managed to, you know, I don't necessarily get the kill there, but obviously slowing them there kind of solidifies a little bit of that, and we get a kill out of that. Obviously, their Mercy gets a res off. I have to fall back to the point a little bit. Now, ideally, I just go for not their tank here, the Mercy, the Genji, but if I see their Ryan out of position or low, I'll probably pressure Ryan Shield a little bit. Remember, they also get healed by their Ryan, so the reason why I'm not being too over aggro is knowing that, like, their Ryan Shield is going to also help the team a little bit. And the last thing I want to do is go in there and get kind of jebaited, so I can play defensive. I can also Javelin spin this. And their Ryan just hit a big slam. So there you go. Now this is where it gets interesting, because I think I get a little bit too distracted by Ryan again. And I want to remind myself when I do this, because this will help me in future games, is I need to stop really being distracted by this Ryan. Like, even there, that 10th of a second where I start to go for the Ryan, then turn around, you can see that in real time. I'm going, wait a second, I cannot go for that Ryan. I need to be like a 10th of a second quicker to make that even more effective. But as you can see, it's kind of the correct play, because now, like, I'm getting the Ana low, but I think there might have been a slight timing where this would have been way, way more valuable to my team. I'm shooting at the Ryan for a second there because, like, they're at a different angle. So I want to kind of put a little bit of added pressure. Now I go to the point. Yep. And if you notice, I'm leaving the backline there because I know if my backline loses in that, like, you know, in a 2v4 there, I think that's just a better play by the other team and not a bad play by taking the map control. In doing so, it forces out their cooldowns early, forces out a bad blade, and now we're in a much better spot, right? I have ult here. Ideally, I just ult when they get closer to the point, if they even get there, or I can just Javelin spin the Rhine or anything like that, so I'm just saving my cooldowns. Yep, I'm going to the Javelin spin and doing ult. Yeah, and that's because that guarantees they can't touch the point, because if the Genji goes for the dash, it's going to be a really scuffed dash anyway. Much better round by me there. I'm just recognizing that, but obviously still made a few mistakes on that. Yes, okay, I remember this now. And then we get Effie's theorem, and I think it's Effie, right? I always get it wrong. I think I got it right, yeah. If I didn't get it wrong, or I think it's Effie. 20% ability lifesteal, which means that when I'm using my Javelin or even my Javelin spin, that should give me some lifesteal, some HP back, and then 50% fortify duration. And this is why this item going into round 4 is massively important. I mean, if your whole build is about healing you during Orisa Fortify, 50% more time on that, that's huge. And that's going to make the build even tankier at this point. And then item-wise, I picked up a green armor just to kind of add tankiness. Like, if I'm going to be tanky, I don't think that 5% weapon power is going to be enough of a break point for me to do that. The idea is that I'm annoying to the other team and can survive as long as possible to give my teammates the space to be able to do what they need to do. And I think this is where I start to really go in it. Maybe this is where I don't hit Fortify. Why do I remember a moment where I just don't hit Fortify? No, okay, never mind. I guess I just had a previous game on Orisa where I did it. Peeling back on the Genji because I really can't go to the back line there on the Rhine. They do get our Mercy, but I can play pretty safe on point. That Javelin hit, by the way. Yep. Do you notice how my reaction to Rhine charging the back line is not to go for the Rhine now? How I didn't even, like, think that time about that? That's adapting to kind of the previous rounds. Now, I'm sure I'll still do that in some rounds, but the reason why I'm peeling back here is because we're in, like, a 2v5, 3v5. I can't really be too aggro because the Ana has really solid position, and this goes back to why I talk about my positioning is really strong, right? Because that Ana is making it impossible for me to get the kill. The more and more that Ana pushes up, the more likely I'll be able to trade on the Ana, right? Which might happen here. Rhine shatters me, but if you look at my HP and all the tankiness I have, that's going to do nothing to me. You can use your Fortify to prevent, like, the charge there. And as you can see, now that the Ana is closer to me, I can put way more pressure on the Ana, right? Which basically is going to send their whole team back to spawn, right? And there's the Ana. See, that's why, you know, good positioning is... And I'll pause for a second about that and talk about it. I talk about good positioning a lot, and sometimes maybe I don't, like, showcase as well, but that Ana at the beginning in comparison to the Ana a minute later or like 30 seconds later, that shows you what good positioning can do. If that Ana stays in the back, I probably can't make a similar play there, and I have to think more about my cooldowns. But when I see an Ana running in front of the team like they're playing Reinhardt, like I'm like, okay, I can now be more aggro and make these plays and also bait out cooldowns, because even if I get purpled by the Ana, I can then pop Fortify and I'm still going to get healed because of the armor regen and all that stuff, right? So it's like, it's one of those things where I always like talk about like maintain good position, and even as you win team fights or like taking advantage, because that's how you easily can like give up that advantage right away. So being aggressive into their backline there, just kind of a part of the play I want to do. Being super aggro. Again, you can hear the Reinhardt behind me, but I'm not getting super distracted yet. Big slam. Now it's fine for the Rein because our Genji's blading, so I don't need to be too aggro into the back line. Now, could I be there to help the Genji? Absolutely. But I think that, I just don't think we knew that play was happening, so I didn't really even think about it at the time. So I could have maybe adjusted that. Again, even if we lose this team fight, training on this Ana is super important, right? And that's why I'm making this play, because even if we, like, even if the team, like, we get rolled there, we can go back and just win the team fight anyway because they don't have an Ana. Do you see this now? Again, a team fight that looked like it was lost, or at least going to be really difficult, you're able to turn that around with the backline pressure. And if you notice the trend here, it's tankiness and backline pressure. If you're able to do both of those, you're going to be very happy with how this stuff, how the game goes. Now, obviously, if the Rein goes in the backline and kills 4, that's a different story, but now I'm getting a little bit indecisive. I'm not sure if I want to go into their front line. Yep. My team makes that decision easy on me by getting the kill. I know Cass is flanking. I'm trying to help my team with this because I think that a win condition for them there is that the Cassidy goes in and just gets a pick. So I keep the Cassidy away from being able to do that. Now I know Mercy's going to go for res, and I'm probably going to start to look for that, but they don't even touch points. So there you go. I hope this is helpful, by the way. I definitely want feedback. Team, I end up getting Rustung. Now, I'm sorry if I mispronounce that. That's how I go with it. So I get Rustung, which is 15% health, armor, and shields. And while below 30% life, you gain 10% damage reduction. So again, you're just building into the tankiness here. You have more HP, 15% more to be exact. And on top of that, you now get a 10%, like a flat 10% damage reduction when you're below 30% HP. So that just adds to the tankiness. It makes it harder for them to get that final like blow onto your team, and that's pretty huge. So everything else item-wise stays the same. And again, just building into tankiness. Remember, don't feel forced to sell items if they fit your build. Like, someone's be like, hey, like, why don't you sell, you know, that item that's like 5K? It's like, well, the addition to my build, it helps a lot. That's why I've kind of suggested, I hope that one day they start to give more options. Also, the Rein is top left. I know we saw the Rein. There's not much I can do about that. And if I recall, this is the Rein who likes to go on top of... I think this is the Rein that does this. They'll go on top of, like, these spots and kind of just stand around these spots and look for charge moments. There's a Rein that does that. I can't remember if it's this Rein. And, like, the best thing I can do is just not be distracted by that. Yep, this is exactly what that is. I should have been more aggro here. This is too safe by me. The point doesn't unlock for a while. There's no reason for me to sit there. Also, I love how, like, the Rein charges me there. Now, this is just to get the Rein out of the way. I know I can't kill the Rein, but I think, like, if I look at this game in hindsight here, I should have went for their back right much quicker. Oh, cool part about this build, by the way, you build your ult really fast because of all the healing you're doing to yourself. It's really, really cool. And you can see it there. I'm okay with the ultimate. It's ambitious, but I think, like, the play itself is, like, I know why I made that play. Only problem we're going to run into is if I get pinned and they have a shatter coming up. I think I'm wasting my javelin spin in the Rein too much there. Again, I know he's in a Junkrat trap, but, like, I don't need to do that. That javelin spin could have been useful here against, like, the Cassidy, which, I mean, I'm doing. I think, like, going for the Cass and the Ana is the correct play here. And if you look at my ult charge, I build ult so quickly now with that. So it's the reason why I'm, like, hitting my ult button so quickly is because if I'm building ult that quickly, I think I'm better off using it for moments like that to maybe open up a window to win the team fight, rather than just kind of holding it for, like, this, like, amazing moment. Big slam, bad play by me. I had gold there. I should have recognized the Rein had that. I mean, I even thought they had a shatter prior to that. Just a misplay. Or sometimes, I don't know if anybody else does this, sometimes you, like, think your cooldown is down because you like, I don't know, lost track of the team fight. I do that sometimes. And I go, wait a second, I had that. Why did I not use it? That's probably the moment that was. There goes the Rein again. Charger behind, and that's pretty much that for this round, so... Round 6. I don't know if I even changed my build here. And exactly is that. I just talked about that. Oh, no. I pick up Reduction Field. I don't know what item I dropped. I know what item it is because I remember it from the previous rounds, but I don't remember it, if that makes sense. So so you can tell that now I've decided that I just want to be tanky. Even more so. So I get Reduction Field, which is 50 armor. On top of that, when you take damage, you gain 0.5% damage reduction for 1 second, stacking up to 20 times, which once again, 10% reduction. So now I have basically 10% reduction the whole time because they're going to shoot at me a lot. 2, with Rust Stung, when I get below 30% HP, I now have essentially 20% damage reduction when I get to below HP. So I just become this like tank, and then you add Fortify to the mix, all that. And yeah, so that's how that goes. I'm trying to remember what item I got rid of. Oh, it's the, I got rid of the lifesteal, not the lifesteal one, the, yeah, random attack speed one. I remember now, okay. So let's see how this goes. Hana Oak is an interesting map. Sometimes you just absolutely have the closest games ever in the middle of the point for an hour, and sometimes you just have really fast team fights and you go, what? HP is looking pretty good. We had a really long team fight on one map. Yep. So I've actually, just a little note here, and I might have called it when I saw the Rhine go there. I have seen Rhines go for that play so many times, so the moment the Rhine went past me, I just threw a javelin right off the map. Now I recognize to go to backline. Get a little bit aggro, but I think this is still the correct play. I need a javelin spin into him. Yep, there it is. Yep, there we go. And then the cast goes to the point, and then they're back in. So, again, the moment I recognize that I get the Rhine there, or see that the Rhine goes down, I go for their backline, because that is going to create some space, right? Rhine makes it to the point, but the game's like, nope, you're not on it. This, if I had to look at that in hindsight, I wouldn't have risked that. I think, real talk, even if we lose the team fight there, I think we're better off losing the team fight there than me wasting my ult. But I also want to see, like, maybe in my mind, I built my ult so quickly that it was just worth it. And honestly, looking at my ults now, it was fine. Yeah, never mind. Now that I look at that, if I'm building ult this quickly, forcing out some ults and cooldowns by them was absolutely worth. I mean, I'm at 85%. Never mind. I'm fine with that play. I think if I don't have a fast ult build, I don't like that ult. But if I can build my ult this quickly, which goes with the build, because remember, heals also will give you ult charge. So when your build is about ults, now that Orisa ult I can say was a bad Orisa ult by me. That was a, hey, I built my ult quick again, look at me. Anybody ever have the, hey, look at, I built my ult again, I just want to show everybody? That might have been one of those moments. I'll be real with you. That bad cooldown management. Bad play there by me, just a little bit too ambitious. We were playing pretty, well, or much better at that point up until that moment, but. Getting multiple limbs here. Already have my ult again soon. Going for the pressure. This ult's fine because I'm just trying to get the Mercy, which we do pretty much successfully. Rhine's on the outside of the map. I think a little bit of a note here. I think I made a bit of a, and I can equate this to, like, the game looks winnable. And I think I'm like, oh, if I help with the Rhine, we can kill the Rhine. In hindsight, obviously the best play here is to just prevent the backline by pushing into this part of the backline. And I think that would have been the correct play because I don't know if you've ever been caught here. It's really frustrating. I had full opportunity to do that. Instead, I end up giving them a bunch of map control. And it looks like because of that, I get shattered, and this might be a team fight they can win or at least be difficult. So if we lose the team fight there, that's on me. Because I think that I had a much easier opportunity to go for backline limbs. I just don't remember if I won that round or not. Preventing the res there with the javelin spin. Obviously, I didn't have javelin up, so that was my only option. Ryan's charging in. I pop my gold to prevent the charge. Yep. And this goes back. I think we might lose this team fight. Big slam. And a lot of that to me, I don't know, our Genji's kind of dominating. Never mind, we're good. A lot of what I would like say that to is where I didn't go for the backline play. I think if I disrupt their backline, I don't like distract myself with a Rhine on the outside of the map. I think we have a much better opportunity there. So next time I will probably make that adjustment is realize that I need to worry more about the other way. If my teammates are saying, hey, we need help with Rhine really badly, I can do that. This is a little bit of an interesting decision here by me, so we'll see if it works. I think my mindset is if I go to point, they're going to be forced to ult. And if we lose the team fight, I can build ult again. I think that's why I did that. But the question is, do I bait my teammates into ultimates, or do we win the team fight? I literally don't remember, so let's see. You know what? In hindsight, I think I made the correct play there. Because I won't even say correct. I think I had about 3 decisions I could have made there, and this could have been like decision B or C, I'd say. But the idea was that I get their ults out, and then if you look, I now have my ultimate again. The only problem I think we have here, though, is we give up the map control in the middle. But you could argue we don't necessarily need it if I'm on Orisa. So, by the way, look, you know what's really cool about that Fortify one? Because I pop Fortify on point there, look at my HP in the bottom left. I go into this next team fight with 1,600 HP. I wonder if I even recognize this. Because I don't play Orisa a ton, I bet I actually misplay this power, because I think the moment I hit Fortify, it resets the HP. If I'm correct. Now, I hear the Rhine behind me, so I'm gonna go in. I think I call the Rhines there. I go on my ult. There it is. Get a huge Orisa ultimate. They don't have many counter ults from the previous fight. Their Rhine wasn't there, which is why I went for backline pressure, and I think that's where we just take the game. Wasn't able to see that shatter. That shatter wasn't as obvious to me there, so it was really hard for me to be able to avoid that shatter there. But I think that ends up just kind of solidifying the round, and there's the game. So, yeah, I hope that this was kind of a helpful walkthrough on like this tank build. Definitely want feedback. Let me know what you think about that style of narration. Would you like more of these? I do want to do these for core Overwatch too. I've been playing both. It's kind of like 50-50 now, both Stadium and core Overwatch. So let me know what you think. Kind of my first time doing something specifically like this outside of when I did that one video where I was like, who's the tank we're watching? And it was me at the time on like Circuit Royale. But let me know. I have a lot of fun doing these. So if they end up being something that you like, and we'll obviously see how it does on YouTube in general. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. We'll have a link to the build, all of that in the description. And yeah, hope you all have an amazing day/night.